Okay, take two. Neil here with the All Pit Better Show with Dan Gomez and my series Who's Who in Santa Cruz. Dan's an architect with Fuse Architects, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Where should we start? Fuse. How long has it been in town? And can you give a little bit of the history?
I'll give you a little history. So it's myself, I'm Dan Gomez, and my business partner, Dan Townsend. We have many employees. We've been here since 2001. We started our business in Southern California. Originally, we were in Tucson. We met in college. It's a 5-year program, and in the third year of that program, we started a business, myself and Dan and 2 other partners, and we kind of did over 150 projects there till we graduated, and then we decided we want more bigger commercial experience. We moved up to Southern California, and then
remember the old days, architects had they had on a piece, on a big sheet. What do they call those things?
oh yeah, the Mayline or right? Blueprints
on a big table, right? Is that old school? Now everything's done on computer.
That's a good question. Yeah.
Right?
So everything is done on computer for the most part.
Okay.
Dan and I, we kind of learned from this guy by the name of Kirby Lockhart. He was like the master of the hand-drawn perspective. So he was one of our professors at the University of Arizona at the time, and he taught us how to hand draw, because design communication is everything.
Right.
So actually, we still hand sketch the initial concepts. We like to jot down ideas, so we show you what your eye can see in a quick, loose hand sketch.
Frame it so people can put them on the wall later on, right?
We used to throw them away.
Oh, you do?
And one of our, I don't know if you remember, there used to be a Taqueria Baja down on the corner. Our old office used to be up in the superintendent's building up above, looking over Taqueria Baja, which is now Mijo's Taqueria.
Oh, yeah.
And so one of the former owners, we became friends, and he would come to our office all the time, and we're throwing all these sketches away. He's like, pulling them out of the trash. He's like, what are you guys doing? And we're like, oh, these are all projects. We're done with the sketches. He goes, no, we're putting these on the wall.
Yeah, oh, you did?
And so now we hung on to them. Now we got a bunch of, just to show the process. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
You have to show the process.
You got it.
I remember the architects, this is years ago, they had a big draft board. And
we still have them.
I was thinking.
So it's funny. You go in, and our whole office, everything's on the computer now. Everything's 3D, so you can visually walk through it.
So you've been in Flagstaff, Arizona, right? Down south.
Moved to Tucson to go to school at the University of Arizona,
And up in Santa Cruz.
Yep.
Maybe the hardest town in the country or the world to build something from the ground up with permit process and coastal commission and God knows what else.
Definitely.
That you have to serve before you put a hammer and a nail together. True.
It is quite a process, and so as an architect, I mean, that's kind of our job. We help people see the process from, it could be anywhere from finding a house to finding the property, work with lots of real estate agents, and just try to kind of like, hey, this is good for sun, this is good for wind, or hey, you might want to consider this for traffic noise, what have you.
Yeah.
So we really try to really kind of get them involved in the process from the get-go and help them from beginning to end.
So you basically, you're almost teaching the client, because you don't think about traffic noise, you don't think about that.
There's a lot of things you don't think about, there's a lot of things to think about. And I mean, we're kind of like if you look at it as like an orchestra, you're kind of the conductor, where you kind of know everything about everybody's parts and pieces, and then you bring all these professionals together and to make this one project, right? Structural engineers, mechanical engineers, civil engineers, everybody that's involved in the whole process, working with the county, negotiating, dealing with the coastal commission, dealing with the county, dealing with the cities, and then also
you guys are the conductor.
You try to be the conductor, yeah. So that's kind of the architect's job.
Did you learn as you went along?
Oh,
or did you show up in Santa Cruz or get taught by somebody how hard it is to actually build something? I mean, even in the room we're in.
Oh yeah.
Right. This place has been remodeled beautifully.
This place was remodeled. Yeah. This was like an old office building that we remodeled and tried to.
How long did it take to finish this?
So this one, because we didn't add any square feet to it, we just remodeled it.
Yeah.
It was. It took us about, I would say, 6 months.
Yeah.
So it was actually a pretty streamlined process from beginning to end, getting a permit and whatnot. So because we didn't add anything, we just kind of kept the existing building shell, used the existing character, and just kind of updated it. So it's kind of nice.
How do you deal with Opal Cliffs Drive, which is coming just in the wall and so forth, and other properties on Santa Cruz on the ocean? How do you deal with that in the coastal commission?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of concerns, obviously with coastal bluff erosion and whatnot. So we like to meet with the coastal commission early on and really get their feedback and their input and make them a part of the process, because it's really, I think if a lot of times you can view the process as we got to go battle and butt heads and just make it's this fight. And the reality is why not make it a joint effort so that we can understand the problems, what needs to be addressed, the issues that need to be resolved, and work as a team to make that happen. And then once they're involved and you understand what the concerns are, you work within that envelope, and you can really come to some successful projects.
Have you been involved in any of the larger buildings they're building downtown now in Santa Cruz? If you drive down Santa Cruz right now, it starts
really
like
changing, right? I know.
It's too crazy. I've been here since 1981, and it used to be a quaint little village, you know.
I know.
And now, if you drive downtown, you go, holy you know.
I haven't been involved in a lot of the bigger projects. We are involved with some stuff, some redevelopment projects, but it's more reuse of existing spaces. We're working on the River Street, like the shopping center there, the Gateway area. River. Yeah. So we're helping them to kind of revamp that and attract some new tenants. We're working with a lot of commercial.
And when they built that big sign up there when it first came out, people were screaming and shouting, "What the F are you doing?"
Always change, right? It's like it's like finding that.
It's not the entrance, the entrance is over here at Ocean Street.
It's like, what's happening here?
I never forget. Yeah.
That's true.
The buzzword right now is affordable housing in Santa Cruz. Are you dealing with that at all? As far as you have to build this, but you need to build something affordable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many projects. So really, it's finding the parcels, the land, and people are coming in. Obviously, there's an incentive to kind of increase the amount of housing that's available. So infill lots, and they really put
What's
pressure.
The incentive?
So the state put pressure on all the jurisdictions to either by the end of the year, last year, you tell us what parcels you're going to rezone to be high density affordable housing element, or if you don't pick that, then we're going to dictate which those are. So really the cities came through and they said, hey, we want to incentivize by, for example, you'll see a lot down in Santa Cruz. A lot of these projects with really high density, how are they able to do that? Because they're getting a parking, they're losing all their parking requirements. Like for example, downtown. You don't have to park the commercial spaces. You have to find parking for the residences, but they're foregoing the parking for all the commercial tenants. So they're making concessions in that respect, with the hopes that you find alternative ways to kind of transportation, biking and whatnot.
I was on this call the other day with the I guess it's the owners or the builders of the hotel that considering putting in there where Cha Cafe used to be, and everybody called in. Everybody called in to that Zoom session complaining. Do you guys how do you deal with pushback from neighbors or other people?
So it happens all the time. Yeah, it happens all the time, right? I mean, when you're changing the density, when you're changing anything, like for example, I mean, Santa Cruz, Capitola especially, I mean, especially working here in Capitola, right? There's a certain character and vibe that Capitola is perceived as.
Right.
Usually it's the Venetian. Most people refer to the Venetian as like, that's what Capitola is. But I think what's special about the Venetian is that it is its thing. Like, let the Venetian
the oldest condominiums built in California, right?
Right. So let's not match the Venetians necessarily. Let's respect all that.
Yeah.
But let the Venetians be unique in what they are. But let's respect what the history is of this area. But let's contribute to it. I mean, we're growing. Things change. Technology changes. But you can still respect that character and still kind of develop and bring up new, I think.
Yeah. The wharf. That thing gets killed. I mean, as an architect and somebody who knows the earth, should we have that thing there? So, do we need that? Should it still be there? Should they? I don't know.
It's another one of those things, right? Where it's been such a big part of the culture of Santa Cruz and Capitola. So we've actually have some history with the wharf. We were hired years ago to the engineers were redoing all the pilings, and we were hired to reconceptualize the bait shop and the cafe and the restaurant. And it went through many public community meetings. Everybody gave input. It was great feedback. Ended up falling off the rails. But the money was there. But they talked about raising it. So that kind of derailed that project for a few years. Well, now, of course, it's getting beat again. So they started the engineering again. So that's actually, we're getting signed up to actually help to kind of revamp and rebuild sections of the wharf.
It's gonna be interesting. That must be something different and interesting to be working on.
Oh, it's really cool. How often do you get a chance to work on it?
No, you don't, right?
So it's fantastic.
And do you have a favorite house here in Santa Cruz, one in particular, or you don't have to mention it, or do you have certain houses that are your favorites?
Oh, there's a lot of favorites, and fortunately we have so many great clients that are when we hire a client and a client hires us because we're interviewing each other.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just part of that process evolves in a great project. So at the end of the day, it's hard to pick a favorite, but there's so many because they've all kind of got the same vocabulary, meaning a real connection to this environment. Like that's why most people want to live here because it's such a great place to live.
Do you think your company is better at the aesthetics of Santa Cruz and Capitola?
I think we hope so.
It a better place.
Yeah, and I think so because you think about how much time you spend indoors. Let's say a commercial space, like for example, we helped Verve Coffee Roasters when they were young and they were trying to find their identity. We helped them to develop a look and a feel and a style and a vibe. And a lot of that had to do with what was here, where they were moving into, using natural materials from the area.
Yeah.
Like, I think that part, like we have immense redwood forests with the fires and stuff, there's so much redwood available.
Yeah.
Using a lot of the natural materials and responding to that, how can you go wrong here in Santa Cruz? Because it really should respond to this environment.
Is there a building in Santa Cruz that you've driven by, you walk by and go, I really would like to work on that building?
Oh.
I would really just let me at it, right?
I mean, really, it's like everywhere we go.
Yes.
I mean, and I can appreciate, like, let's say, historic architecture that is well done, right? But when it's old and just
dilapidated,
disconnected and dilapidated, you want to kind of come in there and bring new life to it. I mean, there's so many opportunities here. That's what we love about Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities. There's great people here.
Yeah.
There's great companies here that are doing fantastic things, and we've been fortunate to work with a lot of them.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that is awesome.
There's so many companies, and that's why I do the show. There's so many people, interesting
Interesting people,
concepts and ideas, and
absolutely.
And,
you'd be amazed at who's here and what they're doing and
the Cruz
the
phone
technology.
people. You've seen the guys from Cruz phone.
That's cool.
And there's a lot of great people, and you guys are one of them. So,
well, thank you.
Before we end, I just need to know your favorite ice cream flavor from Mary Ann's.
It's the peanut butter and chocolate with the nice thick peanut butter inside.
Have you tried Heaven?
Which one?
It's called Heaven. Have you tried it?
Oh, I haven't tried Heaven.
Oh, there's got peanut butter, chocolate, and God knows what else in that. Try it.
Wow, I have to try it.
It's called Heaven. Give it a whirl.
I'll give it a whirl.
Dan, thanks for your time this morning.
Thank you, Neil.
I appreciate it. This was take 2 of the Off-It Radio Show. Who's Who in Santa Cruz, Mr. Dan Gomez from Fuse Architects.
Thanks, that was fun.